This is the bottom line question. Is religious freedom under threat in Australia?
Well, I'm certainly not as willing as Simon Banks to be dismissive of the concerns that people have around religious liberty, particularly after the same-sex marriage plebiscite and legislative changes that passed through the parliament. I think there is a small group of Australians who feel very threatened by the threats that might impinge on their rights, and I think that we should take those concerns seriously. I think that there are...
And how does that manifest? I mean, just explain that to us. Who are we talking about there? What are they worried about?
Well, I think we've seen it manifest in other parts of the world. I think that it might take time in Australia, and thank God we haven't seen the sorts of cases that we've seen in the United States and the UK and other parts of the world. But I think there is a concern that there might be some infringement on the right of service providers, for instance, to turn back particular customers on the basis of their deeply held religious beliefs. We have seen that in the United States and the UK. So I think that these are real concerns, and just because we can't point to a particular case yet doesn't mean that we're immune to those challenges in Australia. I do want to just come back very briefly.
That may be true, but it makes it pretty hard to mount the argument, doesn't it, if we can't, that there needs to be some greater protection for religious freedom. If we can't identify even one concern here?
Well, it cuts both ways. I mean, what are we afraid of? You know, I mean, if there's no particular case, and we don't think that there is likely to be a case, then it goes the other way as well, in the sense that I think that we should allow for people to make those decisions on the basis of their own values. I'm not afraid of that idea. I think that most people are. I mean, we've seen some real compassion and heartfelt conversations about these things in the US in particular, where people feel quite bad about the fact that they just aren't willing to provide those services, but that their religious convictions put them in a position where they feel though they would be going against their conscience in order to provide them. And so they have sent letters, in the case of customers they've had for some years, to their gay customers who have asked them to bake cakes, for instance, or florists, for instance, who've been asked to provide flowers for same-sex weddings.